This is the River Ouse at Ely, and this is called the Creasles. In years gone by, it was a favourite spot for fishing expeditions, particularly with the Sheffield people who came here in hundreds throughout the season. I'm afraid now most of the fish have gone. There's the cathedral, which gazes down on all around. Looking through the bridge, we see Waterside and Annesdale. This is the old Great Eastern Line to King's Lynn and Stanton, Norwich, etc. At this point, at the turn of the century, and up to about the 1920s, basket making was carried on here by families. The willows were cut locally and made into baskets and other utensils. This is quite a common sight. Hundreds of ducks are around this district. They do not fear the humans. They've been brought up with them. From childhood they are fed by the people who handle them. There's a clutch there. In fact, when you're having a picnic they become rather a nuisance because they tend to pick the sandwiches out of your hand. This is quite a common sight. There are a great quantity of swans in the district. They seem to congregate around this section. In latter years this became a booming trade. The houseboats. The river is navigable to Cambridge, probably as far as Bedford, and northwards up to Denver. In latter years have become a booming business. This is Waterside. This is where the swans seem to congregate. It's quite a favourite point for them to be fed by the population. There are still quite a few large buildings round about, which in the past served as storehouses for grain and other commodities. Waterside Quay was one of the most used quays of Ely. Insofar the coal and etc. came here, brought up into the town. That building is called the Maltings, part of one of the old breweries. Another clutch of small ducklings. Absolutely impartial what's going around them. We've now got to Annesdale. Annesdale Quay as it was years ago. In my day that was the Appleyard boathouse. That's where my aunt lived, in that house there. Get a good view of the Cutter Inn from this point. One of the features of Ely, the Cutter. So named because in the 1800s the river was straightened out at this point, and the cutters came along to do it, hence the name of the inn, Cutter Inn. Good view of waterside. In my day you couldn't walk down there, but in recent years it's been open to the public as a public walk. The second part of our holiday was spent here at Stalham. This is St Mary's Church in the High Street. It's Tuesday morning and the church is open for refreshments as it's the local market day. Famous Maid's Head restaurant and public house. And down this lane to the large open market. It's been held in Stalham for hundreds of years. Incidentally, Stalham is entered in the Domesday Book. This is the vegetable option sale. This is the open section, where up to a point it looks like rubbish, but it comes every week. It seems to be cleared every week. Virtually everything you can think of. This is the closed auction room for furniture and other articles. There's some real bargains to be had, I can assure you. This is the day after. This will show you the extent of the field. It's a huge affair. We've now travelled a few miles to Haysborough on the coast. It's famous in the past for its Haysborough sands, which have been the cause of many a disaster for boats, claimed hundreds of lives. The slipway for the lifeboat. This part is notorious for coast erosion, but terrific defences along here. It still takes its toll. That's a recent innovation, this large concrete breakwater. You can see how the sea has broken up the other concrete. It's like matchboxes. church is quite old. I think it goes back to about the 15th century. Cromer. Described in the guidebooks as a town of Victorian atmosphere, which I think is quite true. It's a very nice place indeed. The sands are extremely good. Of course, being on the east coast, you need hot sunny days really to get the best benefit. This is a meeting of the Scripture Union. It's carried out every week. There's a great interest to children and public alike. It's been going since 1870 and only stopped during the war years. Always attracts a crowd. Quite a common sight, the air rescue helicopter. This is Henry Bloggs, GCBEM, coxswain of the Cromer lifeboat 1909 to 1947. He had 3 gold medals and 4 silver medals. Him and his crew rescued 873 lives, and he served 58 years in the service. The road down to the lifeboat house. This is the new lifeboat. But this is the one that Henry Bloggs used. It's been bought by Peter Cadbury and is under renovation as a constant reminder. This is a D-class lifeboat used for inshore rescue. It's extremely fast and can save time. Cromer is noted for its shellfish, particularly crabs, and these are the boats that go out daily and the tractors that pull them up. We'll now travel the whole length of the promenade. This is the northern end. Still beautiful sands. A few more miles up the coast, we come to Sheringham. Quite a nice little town, vastly different from Cromer. Sands are not quite as good. There's a different atmosphere. jukebox is going most of the time. Public houses open, etc., etc. Still quaint, but considerably noisier than Cromer, but very pretty. We'll now come back to Stalham. This is the 149 bypass road. Across there, Stalham Staithe. The 149 is the old railway track, hence its straightness. That's the entrance to the boatyard. Very busy indeed during the season. This is the Heron Quay. This huge building is actually 2 aircraft hangars put together. The other end of it is Kingfisher Quay. Building across the other side there is a covered garage if you leave your car for a period. 2 miles down the 149 we come to Sutton. The feature is the large windmill. It's the tallest one in England. It's about 200 years old. It's bought with the present owners who are reconditioning it as fast as they can, but in the proper manner. This is a museum. They've yet to get the sails finished. You can go to the top and get a marvellous view of the surrounding district. That's the Sutton Church. Goes back to about 14th century. Delightful little place. We've walked down Staithe Road to the older part, where in days gone by the wherries used to come and bring their wares. There's still one of 2 of the old buildings still standing. That's the end of the Staithe there, and that leads down to the River Ant at the bottom. Back in the High Street, Baker Street, and of course the baker's on the corner. Bank Street, and of course the bank is on the corner. The church is down the bottom there. Market Row, of course, leads to the market. This is Norwich, and if you come by bus. It's far simpler than coming by car. Norwich is one of England's great towns. From Norman times till the 1700s, it was always in the lead. At one time was second to London. Wonderful view of the castle. That's the City Hall, built in 1932 to 1938. It's a beautiful building. And now on the terrace overlooking the market, which is a daily one, with the stalls all in situ. It's the largest daily market in the country and can trace its history back to the Norman period, actually on the same site. This is Sir Peter Mancroft's church. It's the largest of Norwich's numerous parish churches and is still in use. Its history goes back to the 1400s. This is one of Norwich's gems, the castle. Its history goes back to the Normans. Originally a timber structure, but replaced by a great stone keep in the 12th century. It still survives, but was replaced with new stone in 1835. It's open now as a museum. It's free to the public to wander around, but of course you have to pay to go in the museum. On the castle hill here is a wonderful view. But if you close your eyes and think how it came about. In the 14th century this town was a major weaving centre. Worsted cloth was made here. The village of Worsted is only 12 miles away. Refugees from Flanders came in thousands, bringing their weaving skills. The prosperity continued until the late 1700s when Yorkshire took over. A few other points. Barclays Bank started here. And we all know the Norwich Union Insurance Company. And of course, we all know about Coleman's mustard. When you relax at home, hang your television. You enter the cathedral precinct by two gates. This is St Ethelbert's gate, dating back to 1316. We're now in the cloisters, and it boasts the finest cloisters in England. They were built in stages from 1300 to 1430. point of great interest is the carved bosses, which you see there in each arch. The cathedral was built over the site of the old Saxon town and was started by Bishop Lozinger in Norman times. The stone spire was added to the Norman tower in 1475 and is only second to Salisbury in height. It's an excellent state of repair. I think you'll agree it's a beautiful sight. Choir practice was in progress. This is Erpingham Gate at the north end of the precinct. And this was built in 1420. At each end of the precinct there is a monument, one to Wellington and one to Nelson. An excellent view of the west end of the cathedral. You can see the size of that beautiful stained glass window. That is a memorial of Edith Cavell, who was a native of Norwich and was famed during the First World War.